Alright guys, here we are on the computer. We're going to do an image processing tutorial on the Elephant's Trunk Nebula IC 1396, and I was able to gather 2 nights worth of data on this target, and I think I got close to about 75 frames. I'm not sure, we'll check it out here. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open up Astropixel Processor here. And what you see when you first open this up, it will tell you to select your working directory here, and this is where you have all of your images saved. So I'm going to go down here to my Seagate portable drive, and I have pre-made this folder here with night 1 and night 2. So that's what we want it on, and we're going to click open. Okay, so we're going to go over here. It says multi-channel filter processing. We're going to uncheck this box, and we're going to leave this one checked here. It says multi-session processing. Okay, and then this one says auto detect masters and integration, so we're going to leave that one checked too. And we're going to go over here to tab 0, and the way this is set up, it's basically it's pretty simple. People might be kind of intimidated by this software, but you don't have to be. It's all really user friendly. You've got these tabs over here, so you just start at 0. And if you're using a DSLR, I don't mess with anything here. But I'm using the ZWO ASI 183, so I know for ZWO cameras you have to change this here, so we're going to change that from supported to RGGB. And then we're going to go down here, and because I use the L Extreme Duo Narrowband filter, we're going to change this down here to HA03 color, and we're going to put that right there. And we're going to tick this box to Force Bayer X-Trans CFA, and that's all we're going to do on this tab. And like I said, if you're using a DSLR, just leave it how it was. Don't click any of these, just leave it how it was. Okay, so we're going to go here to load, and it says enter deep sky object name, so we're going to put Elephant Trunk RGB. So this is actually I'm working with just hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3, but it gives you almost a full color image, so we're just going to call this one RGB. And I'm going to click here on lights, and it's going to ask me select the light frames for your project. So we're going to go over here to night 1, and we're going to click on light frames, and we're just going to shift click all of these and open. And it's going to ask us choose the session for the frames. We're going to choose session 1. Click OK. Okay, so now we're going to go to our lights again. We're going to tick this box here and go back up to night 2. We're going to go to our lights. We're going to shift click and open. And we're going to choose session 2 for these. Click OK. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to go over here to flats, and we're going to go back. We're going to stay on night 2 here. Click the flats, open, session 2. Okay, we're going to go to our darks. We're going to stay on session 2 here. Session 2. Okay, now if you're using a DSLR, this is where you would put your bias frames, but I use my ZWO camera, so I take dark flats, so that's what I'm going to choose. Staying on night 2, dark flats. Session 2. Okay, and when I got done with the first night, I went ahead and stacked some the first session. So I'm going to go ahead and use those master darks just to kind of speed this process up a little bit. So you don't have to follow along with this. This is just if you're doing multi-sessions, you can actually use the master flats and the master darks and the master bias, all that from the first stack. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to go down here to where it says master flat. I'm going to choose that. I'm going to go back up here to night one. And I'm going to go down here to where it says master flat here. Choose that. Open session one. Okay. Now master dark. I'm still here on night one. Here's my master dark. Session one. And my master dark flat right here. Session one. Okay, and then I actually have a bad pixel map made here from the first session too, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. And that's right here, bad pixel map. Okay. So now, before we do anything else, I want to go through each individual frame here. I know there's a lot. Let's see here, there is 116 total light frames, and I'm just going to go through, start at number one here, and double click. And what I'm going to do now is just go through these frames one by one and check if there's any star trails, if there's any clouds or any haze, anything like that. I'm going to try to just cancel those out of the stack. So this does take some time if you have 112 frames like I do. So I won't bore you with all that. So I will speed this up for you guys, and I will slow it back down when I'm done. Alright guys, when you get done going through all your images and all the boxes are unticked here, what you want to do is go up here and click clean here, and that will clean off all the unticked boxes here. So you're only left with the good frames. And we ended up with 76 out of 112, which isn't bad. And most of those were due to it getting daylight, and I caught 10 or 15 frames there where it was just too bright and I had to get them out of there. So anyway, we're going to move on here, and we're going to go up here to tab 2, and I don't change anything here. Now if you're using a cooled astronomy camera, you want to make sure that this box is ticked here, adaptive pedestal, reduce amp glow. Now, since I'm using some masters, I'm going to reassign masters to lights. And click that first. Okay. Now, we're going to click create masters and assign to lights. And this will take a minute, where it's going through 2 sessions here. It might take a little while, and I will come back when it's done. Okay, whenever that finishes, guys, you want to go up here to Analyze Stars tab, number 3, and you're not going to change nothing here. I'm just going to click Analyze Stars. And this is another step that takes a moment, depending on how many images you have. So I'm going to again push pause and come back when it's finished. Alright guys, when that gets finished, we want to go over here to tab 4, and we're going to click on that, and I don't change anything else here. And we're going to click start registration. Now this step doesn't take that long, depending on how many frames you have. Okay, now when that gets finished, we're going to go up here to tab 5, normalize, and we're just going to click on normalize here. Now this step does take, I think, the longest of any of them. So again, I will pause the video and come back when it's finished. Alright, now when that gets done, we're going to go over here to tab 6. And now this is where if you have, like let's say you had hundreds of images and you didn't want to take the time to go through each individual image, you can change this right here. Lights to stack 100%. You can lower that number to say 50%. And then it will go through and automatically take out the bad ones with star trails and all that. But I like to manually go through just to make sure I'm not wasting any frames or anything like that. I am going to change this number to 75, so I'll stack 99% just to make it an even 75. Okay, I don't change anything here, and we're going to click integrate, and this is where you can type in your, if you didn't title it in the first tab over there, you can go ahead and title it here and click OK. And this is going to stack and it's going to produce a somewhat RGB image, but like I said, the S2 is actually missing, so but it'll still look pretty good. That's why we're going to do a couple different stacks here. I'm going to do an HA extract and an O3 extract, and so we're going to have our first RGB stack, and then we're going to have 3 more to combine into a Hubble palette, and then we will take both of those into Photoshop and process them there. But for now, again, I will pause the video and come back when it's finished. Okay, now when that finishes with the integration, you want to go over here to tab 9, and we're going to go to calibrate background here, and we're going to click on that. Click yes. And it's going to tell you to make 4 area select boxes here, and normally you would want to find just a dark spot of just black space, but this image actually there's so much hydrogen gas here that it's going to be hard to find just a dark area here, so I'm going to try my best to just avoid any of the brighter regions. And you can tell the edges here, this is from 2 separate nights, and it's just where my aligning was off on the second night a little bit from the first, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. We can crop that out. And so we're going to hit calculate over here. And okay, so we're just going to go ahead and hit OK and save. And it's labeled it here, session 1, session 2, calibrated background. We're going to click OK. We're going to save it as a TIFF. Click OK. OK. But man, just look at that signal, guys. I'm super excited about this data. I can't wait to do the processing. So what else I like to do is go in here to what this is, make sure this box here is checked and click save. And what this does, this saves a stretched copy of the image. And the reason I do that is just because I like to just see it in Photoshop stretched, just to see what it looks like. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to save this as TIFF. I'm going to click OK. OK. And we're going to change this to a 16-bit. Alright, now I'm going to uncheck this box and I'm going to save it again. And now this one is no stretch at all done to the data, nothing like that. So it'll just be straight out of the camera or straight out of Astropixel processor. So change that to TIFF. Okay. Okay. 16-bit. Okay. Okay, so we have the first integration here, the RGB, and now we have the background calibrated TIFF, and we have a stretch TIFF and a no stretch TIFF. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go up here to tab 0, and we're going to change this from HA03 color to HA03 extract HA. And it's going to ask you to, do you want to renormalize all the data? Click yes, click yes. Now you actually have to go up here to tab 5 again and click normalize. Now you have to renormalize all the frames. So we're going to do that now. And this does take a little while if you guys remember, so we'll come back whenever that's done. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to go over here to integrate again, and we're going to click integrate. And we're going to change this from RGB to HA. We're going to click OK. Okay, now we'll come back when this is done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go up here and click on stretch, save. And this titles HA session 1, session 2 stretch. Click OK. We're going to change that to TIFF. 16-bit. Okay. And we're going to go up here and we're going to save on unstretched. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our 0 tab again, and we're going to change this HA03 extract 03. So we're going to click that, click yes, yes. We're going to renormalize, renormalize. And again, this takes a minute, so I'll pause and come back when it's done. Okay, now that that's finished, we're going to go back here to integrate, and we're going to click integrate. And this is where we're going to change the name from HA to 03. Click OK. And again, I will come back when this is done. Okay, now that this is finished, we're going to go again up here and we're going to save an unstretched copy. Okay. We're going to change that to TIFF. Okay. 16-bit. And then I'm going to save a stretch copy. Okay, now we're going to go back over here to tab 0 one more time, and we're going to change this to HA03 mono. We're going to click yes and yes, and that it uses that HA and O3 kind of like together to create the S2 layer. So we're going to choose that, and then we're going to go up here to normalize. We're going to click normalize, and this is the last integration that we're going to do. One more time, I'm going to come back when it's done, and then we're going to combine all these together and start the processing. Alright guys, for the last time we're going to click tab 6 integrate, and we're going to click integrate, and we're going to title this one We're just going to go ahead and title it S2. Okay, and again, I will come back when this is done. Alright guys, now that that's finished, we're going to go ahead and go up here and press save again. Alright, and then I'm going to uncheck that, do another no stretch. Alright, so now that we got all three of we got our HA, our O3, and our S2 here, we're going to go over here to the tab 9 tools, and we're going to go to combine RGB. Okay, we're going to change this from multiple scale here to add, and we're going to change this from LRGB1, and we're going to go down and choose SHO Hubble 2. Okay, now we're going to go up here and click add channel. Alright, so if we look here, here it is, our elephant trunk HA, session 1, session 2 fits. We're going to choose that. And we're going to do the elephant trunk O3 fits. Make sure it's the fits here. Because if you save it like I did, you'll have a TIFF down here too. So you want to make sure it's the fits. And then go down here to S2 fits. And you're going to click open. Okay, so now this tells you right here, shot with the red. You're going to change this. This is the HA. We're going to change this to hydrogen alpha. And click OK. This is OD here. We're going to change this from red to oxygen 3. Click OK. Here it says S2. We're going to change that from red to sulfur 2. Now we're going to go over here to these tabs here, and I'm going to move this tab up to, let's go up to 4.7 on here. We'll drop the green down, whoops. We'll leave the red alone. We'll drop the green down. We'll bring it down to 9. We'll bring the blue up to 18. And we'll bring the luminance up to 35. Okay, the oxygen 3, I'm going to bring that all the way up. I'm going to lower the red. No need for the red and oxygen. The green, I'm going to bring this down to 10. Blue, I'm going to leave it 100. And luminance, I'm going to bring that up to 16. Okay, now the sulfur, I'm going to bring that up to 7. The red, I'm going to leave it alone, and the green, blue, and luminance, I'm going to drop those all the way to 0. Okay, now we're going to click recalculate here. Okay, so this is our starting base for our Hubble palette image. So what we're going to do, we're going to say save. Now, for some reason, when I do this combine RGB here, when I try to do a background calibration, it doesn't really work. So we're going to skip that. We're just going to go ahead and save an unstretched copy here. We're going to hit neutralize background, and we're going to hit save. okay. Combine RGB image stretch, okay. TIFF, okay. Okay. 16, okay. Now, we're done with Astropixel Processor. Finally, we're going to close this software down and we will open these images up into Photoshop. Alright guys, now we're in Photoshop here. I have the combined RGB no stretch, the elephant trunk HA no stretch, and the elephant trunk RGB with the background calibrated. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to go up here to image mode and we're going to change this RGB to 16, or we're going to change this to exposure and gamma. Click OK. And we're going to go up here to image, size, and we're going to change this to 24 inches wide, and we're going to change this to 300 ppi. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing to each image here. And what I like to do first is go over here to threshold, and I click on that, and we slide this slider all the way until we get just a black. If I remember, down here in the corner was pretty black, so I'm going to take my sampler, my eyedrop sampler, and holding down shift, I'm going to click on a dark area here, and that gives me my background levels here. So we're going to delete this threshold layer. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 copies of this background layer. Okay, so first thing we'll do, we're going to do a levels adjustment and bring these from 25 down to 19. Now Control Alt Shift and E to make a new layer. And we're going to do our first curve stretch here. And the way I do this, I just click right here next to the data, this real thin line here. I'm just going to click on that, and using the arrow keys, I'm going to bring this up to 30. We're just going to do very mild stretches here. So I'm going to do iterations back and forth of levels and curves adjustments for a minute. Just back and forth, bringing those numbers back down to 19 each time and back up to 30 each time, making a new layer between each curves and levels stretch. Okay, so far we've done 7 curve stretches and 8 levels adjustments here. So you can start to see at this point some of the noise really coming through. I think I'll do maybe 1 more curve stretch here. You get to a point where once you do a curve stretch and you try to do a level stretch, you just can't bring those levels back without clipping the data. So once I kind of get to that point, I stop stretching. So we're going to try it one more time here. Click next to the data, arrow keys, come up to 27 this time. I'm afraid if we take it all the way to 30, we're going to be clipping data here. So go ahead and stop it there. All right, now we're going to bring these levels back in. See that? If I would have took it all the way to 30, I wouldn't have enough space here to bring it back down. So we're going to leave it right there next to the data. And anything beyond this little line here, I think that's the corners up here where it's clipped up here, or where there's data missing in the corners. Now, there's a reason why I haven't cropped this in yet, and you will see that here in a minute. So we're going to change the green, bring that to 19. Okay, so we're going to make a new layer here. Okay, so now we zoom in, we can see some color noise here. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that. So I'm going to make a copy of this layer. And I'm going to go up here to filter, camera raw filter. Okay, so here we are in camera raw filter. I'm going to zoom in here, and you can see all this color noise here. I'm going to go down here to the details tab, and we're going to just slide this color noise slider up. And you can see that it makes all that color noise disappear. We're going to bring it to 20. Okay. And we're going to click OK. Okay, so at this point, our levels are a little off again, so we'll fix that. We'll just drop them all to 18. Okay, I'm going to make a new layer. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go up here to layer, and we're going to flatten the image. Okay, so at this point, we're going to hide this. We're going to leave this image now, and we're going to go over here to RHA. And we're going to do the same thing we just did. We'll do back and forth iterations of curves and levels, trying to get this to kind of be on the same. So if we look at this red channel here, and we go over here to our HA, we're going to stretch the HA to kind of be the same brightness as this right here. So what I'm going to do, again, I will do back and forth iterations of curves and levels. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go up here to filter, or actually I'm going to make a copy of this. I'll always work on a copy. That way if you don't like the change you made, you can just delete it and start again. So I'm going to go up here to filter, camera raw filter. Okay. And I'm going to It says we're clipping data here, but we're really not. Like I said, that's that edge there of the corners. So we're going to go up here to the basic tab, and we're going to bring up the highlights. Let's go to 25 on the highlights. Okay, we'll bring up the shadows. We'll go up 50 on the shadows. Blacks. We'll come up 20 on the blacks. Okay, and okay, we're going to bring up the exposure to 45 here. I know that's not the best way to do this, but this is just our hydrogen alpha layer, so it's not going to matter too much. Okay, so let's see what this clarity does. We'll leave that at 6, and we'll lower the texture down to 5. And a dehaze. Do a little dehazing. And we'll go ahead and go over here to the detail, and we will go ahead and do a minor noise reduction here. If you slide this all the way over, you can see it just completely washes out the detail. We don't want to do that. You want to be real careful with noise reduction, because even when you think it still looks noisy, once you get it completed and on viewing it from a different computer, a lot of times you don't even notice the noise. So I try not to pay too much attention to how bad it looks. As long as you do somewhat a little bit of noise reduction, you should be alright. Okay, we're going to keep it at 10 for now. And we're going to bump up the sharpening to 5. Okay. So now we're going to click OK. Okay, that looks more like this one here. You can see, that's about the look I was going for there. Stars are a little brighter, but that's okay. Okay, so what we want to do now, we're going to flatten this. I'm going to make a new copy of this. And I'm going to go up here and I'm going to choose from my astronomy action toolset to do a local contrast enhancement here. And I'm going to click play. Now, you can see that really made those dark areas stand out, but it makes it a lot noisier. So what we're going to do, we're going to lower the opacity on this down to, let's do 25, 26%. You want real subtle changes here. Let's bring it up to 30. Okay, so we're going to come back over here, and now we're going to go back to our channels, and we're going to highlight RGB. And actually, we're going to go into our channels. We're going to Control A, Control C, and we're going to go up here to File, and we're going to click New. and it will set the correct dimensions here that we punched in on whichever image that you copied. It will automatically put those dimensions in here. Now this is where we're going to change from 8-bit to 16-bit. Create. Okay. So now we're going to Control V and we're going to paste that right there. Okay, so now we're going to flatten the image. Okay, so now that's our background layer. Make a copy of this. Okay, so now we're going to go back over here to our HA. We're going to Control A, Control C. We're going to go back over here to the untitled. And we're going to Control V and paste that right there. Okay, so now we have the red channel from our RGB with our hydrogen alpha layer on top. So what we're going to do now, we're going to just change this opacity down on our hydrogen alpha. We'll go to 50% here. Okay. And we're going to shift click here and we're going to merge these layers. Okay, so now we have our merged RGB red channel and our hydrogen alpha. We're going to Control A, Control C, and we're going to go back to the RGB and we'll go back into the red channel and we're going to paste it right there. Control V. Okay, so now we're going to highlight RGB again. And let's look at the history tab. And you can see the difference here. Here is with the red channel, and here is with the hydrogen alpha layer added in. And you can see that really makes this rim here pop out and stand out. It does a really fantastic job doing it this way. Okay, whoops. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our hydrogen alpha and we're going to go up here to image mode. We're going to change this 16-bit. Image mode, and we're going to change this back to grayscale. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, Control A, Control C. We're going to go back over here to our RGB, make a copy of this. Let's go ahead and make 2 copies, and we're going to paste this, Control V. Now this is our hybrid hydrogen alpha RGB mix. And we're going to change the luminosity. We're going to change the blending mode over here to luminosity. Okay. And we're going to drop this opacity down. Let's go to about 30%. You can see that really makes all that really pop out good. Let's actually bump this up and bring it on up to 50%. Okay. So that looks pretty good. We're going to Control Alt Shift and E to make a new layer. Now at this point we are almost finished actually stretching our data on the RGB. Now this is what you would consider an HA RGB image here. At this point, you could do some fine tune adjustments, do some star reduction, stuff like that. But we're going to leave this alone for now, and we're going to go ahead. We don't need this anymore. We're going to delete that off. Okay, and we'll go ahead and leave the hydrogen alpha layer up here. We'll go ahead and flatten this image. Okay, so we have our our HA RGB. We have our Hubble palette here. So what we'll do, we're going to put these on hold for a minute. We're going to jump over here to the Hubble palette, and I'm going to do the same thing I just did to this one. Everything I just did, the stretching curves, contrast enhancement, the little noise reduction, I'm going to do all that, and then I will kind of fast forward the video and I will slow it back down when I get done with this. At this point, we're going to, again, we're going to open up filter, camera raw filter. We're going to do the same thing. Let's go in here to basic tab. We're going to bump up the exposure. Okay, we're going to take our shadows, bump those up. Take our blacks, bump those up. Our highlights, we're going to bump those up just a little bit. You can really see these stars are starting to get blurred out here, but that's okay. We're not really doing this for the stars here. Okay, we're going to click OK. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go over here to Astronomy Actions Toolset, and we're going to hit Deep Space Noise Reduction. And we're going to click play. Okay. And what that does, that kind of puts a mask over the brighter areas. Without doing noise reduction on these brighter areas here. So I'm going to make a copy of this layer. And you can see some of this blue, kind of yellowish gas here. What we're going to do, we're going to go up here to Image, and we're going to go up here to Select Color Range, and we're going to do Sample Colors here. And we're going to click on this right here. Okay, we're going to click OK. Okay, and we're going to go to Select, Modify, Expand 2 pixels. Okay, select, modify, feather 1 pixel. Then we're going to go up here to select and mask. Okay, and we're going to bump this feathering up. Let's bring it on up. Let's go to about 25, and we'll do a radius of 1 pixel here. Okay. Now we are going to go to select a mask, or add layer mask. Okay, and here's our mask. We're going to go ahead and make sure we got this layer selected here. And we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. We're going to bump the saturation up. Click OK. Okay, now double click here and we'll go ahead and feather this again. .9 pixels. Okay, so now we'll go to Control Alt Shift and E to make a new layer. Now we're going to go up here again, select color range, and we're going to click up here. We'll do a fuzziness of 40, of 50. Okay. Okay, we'll do the same thing. Select, modify, expand 2 pixels. Select, modify, feather 1 pixel. Select the mask. Okay, we'll feather our selection out. We'll go to 37 on this one with the radius of 1 pixel. Okay, so now click the mask, and now we'll go back up here to Image Adjustments, Hue Saturation. Okay. We'll leave it at 50. Okay, so now what we're going to do is drop this opacity. We'll actually feather this a little bit. Okay, just go ahead and feather it 10 pixels here. Okay, so now we'll go here and we're going to change this opacity down to where we like it. Here's at 0. Now we can kind of just bump this up till we get the color we want. Okay, we're going to leave that at 50% here. Okay, so at this point, what we're going to do now is we're going to go over here to our RGB. And we're going to mess with these hues a little bit on here. We're going to go up here to Image, Adjustment, Hue. We're going to look at the reds here. We're just going to drop the saturation on the red. -23. Okay. We're going to go over here. We're going to Make a new layer on this image here. Okay, we're going to Control A, Control C. We're going to come over here and we're going to Control V. We're going to paste that right on top here. And we're going to change our opacity here. Let's go to 50%. Okay, here's our RGB. What we're going to do, we're going to check our levels here. Okay, so now I'm going to make a copy and I'm going to bring this back into filter, camera raw filter. And we're going to click OK. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and flatten the image. Okay, at this point, we're going to go up here, we're going to hit File, Save As, save on your computer. And I'm going to go to Pictures, or I'm going to go to Desktop here, StarNet, and we're going to save this inside of StarNet. We're just going to title this RGB number 1. No, we don't want to do any compression. Okay, so now we're going to open up StarNet. And we're going to find our elephant trunk, RGB number 1. We're just going to grab that and drag it and lay it right over top of RGB StarNet. And this does take a little bit of time, so I will come back when this is done. Alright guys, after StarNet finishes, I'm gonna go up here to open and find StarNet here, my desktop. And here it is. And what StarNet is, it's a free software you can download that it subtracts all the stars out of your image, and you're left with only the hydrogen or whatever gas or whatever deep sky target that you're shooting. And a lot of people use it to just get a completely starless image, or you can use it to reduce the stars, and that's what I do. And sometimes it leaves these artifacts left over from the stars, and if you zoom in here you can see these little circles, and there's a lot of them in this one, so it's really worth it to take the time to go through with the spot healing tool here. And we're going to lower this down, and we're just going to click on these little white spots, and you can see they just disappear right out of there. And it does take a good bit of time depending on how many of these and how far you're willing to actually go and take it. But I'm gonna take some time now and just go through, and with the spot healing tool here, just clicking on these little spots here. Alright guys, when you get that done, or semi-done, what you think looks done, I think that's about the best I can get it. I know there's these little white spots here, but I just can't do anything about those. I've tried, and I don't think it'll matter too much. So what we're going to do now is we have our starless version here. We're going to go over here to our combine RGB, and we're going to Control A, Control C. We're going to go back to the starless and Control V. We're going to paste that right on top. And now we're going to go over here to our blending mode, and we're going to change it from normal to pin light here. Okay, and what that does, that lets only the brightest stars back through while retaining the detail of the starless version here. Okay, so only the brightest stars. So what we're going to do, if you zoom in here, you can see it looks like they're just kind of placed on here. So that's not a look I want. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shift click right here, and I'm going to merge these two layers. Okay, now I'm going to Control A, Control C, and we're going to go back here to the RGB. Let's make a copy of this, and we're going to Control V and paste that right on top again. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to zoom in here, and we're going to lower this opacity here. And we're just going to move this down until the stars look like we want them to, which is usually about 50% here. We'll go to 60% here. Okay, now look at the before and after. That really decreases a lot of those stars. and you don't feel as overwhelmed by them. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to flatten this. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is go up here to select color range, and we're going to choose highlights, and we want to get just the stars here. Try for right there, and that's going to select just the brightest stars here, or all the stars. Okay, some of this gas is selected here, so I'm going to take my lasso tool and holding down Alt, I'm just going to deselect any of the gas. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go up here to select, modify, expand 2 pixels, and then I'm going to go up here to select, modify, feather 1 pixel. Now what I'm going to do is make a copy of this layer. I'm going to go up here to filter, other, minimum. And what this is going to do, it's going to do a minimum on our stars here. So we're just going to do a 1 pixel, I think, here. We're going to go ahead and, yeah, we'll keep it at 1 pixel and we'll click OK. And we'll look at the before and after. We'll go ahead and deselect this. We'll look at the before and after. You can see it does a fine tuning on just an extra step to decrease those stars. So they look pretty good. Um, so what we're going to do now, we're going to check our levels here. All right, they look a little off. So I'm going to go down here and make a copy of this layer, and we'll go ahead and do a levels adjustment here, and I'll select the red channel, and I'm just going to bring that down to 17. Okay, I'm going to choose the green, and we're going to bring it down to 17. Okay, now we're going to get rid of this. We're going to hide this. Okay, and now I'm going to make a copy of this, and we're going to go up here to filter, camera raw filter. And we're just going to play around with some of these sliders over here and just try to bring up some more of these details in here. First off, we're going to do a small noise reduction here. We're going to keep it real mild. We don't want to go overboard like this and kill the details. I mean, that might look good from a distance, but when you try to zoom in, it doesn't look good. So we'll keep it small. We'll do a 5%, maybe a 10% sharpening. Okay. Now we're going to go up here to the basic tab. And we're just going to mess around with some of these sliders here. That's pretty good. Bump up the highlights maybe a little bit. Bump up the whites down a little bit. And we'll bring the shadows up. We'll bring the blacks up. We'll bring that clarity up. And anytime I do clarity, I like to bump down the texture just a tad. We'll leave the dehaze alone. Okay, that looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and click OK. Click OK. All right. Okay, now we're going to check our levels again. They're off a little bit. So what we're going to do, I'm actually going to do a curve stretch here, and I'm going to make a copy first. Go up here and click curves. Okay, I'm just going to bring this up a little bit. Okay, bring it up a little more. Okay. Go ahead, put a little anchor down here to keep our background from getting brighter. Okay, looks pretty good. We'll check our levels. Okay, so we're actually going to lower the opacity just a tad on this. Actually, you know what? I think it looked good. We'll leave it like that. Okay, so now looks pretty good. We got our colors in there. We got everything looking good. Let's actually lower that to 75%. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make a new layer here, and we're going to go ahead and do our crop. Now, we didn't do the crop before because we wanted all of our channels to line back up when we go to paste them back on top of each other. So that's why I didn't crop in the beginning. You can do that. It just kind of throws your histogram off a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm going to take the edges in here to cut off where the data is missing, and we're going to bring up the bottom and the top just enough to cut that outer edge off where the signal's not as strong. I hate to lose that data, guys, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. So I think that looks pretty good there. Let me go ahead and click enter. And okay, looks pretty good. So, okay, I think it looks pretty good. Now, at this stage, it's all just personal preference from here. You might take it back uh, into Camera Raw to do some more color adjustments. But yeah, I mean, you can see where that hydrogen data added in really made this brim stand out good, and we were able to really isolate these two different colors here by combining these channels the way I did. And yeah, at this point, it's almost finished. There is one more thing I like to do, and that is to do one more thing to these stars. So we're going to go in here, we're going to make a new layer first. We're going to go up here to our Astronomy Actions toolset, and we're going to go down here to Star Diffraction Spikes, Fat Stars. We're going to select that, and we're going to click play. And what this does, this is going to add these diffraction spikes on the stars, and I know a lot of you guys are going to criticize me for this, but I kind of like the way they look, and as long as they don't take away from my target, I like to add a few of them. I really like the way they look, and I don't know, I just always have. So that's one thing I do try to do on my images. So okay, so now that we have the diffraction spikes, you can see it doesn't do a good job on some of these. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to bump it up to 100% opacity, and I'm going to erase all the ones that I don't like the look of and the ones that retract from the target. So I'm going to erase all of these that kind of take away from what I'm trying to display here. So just going to go around here and kind of take a minute to look at the ones I don't like. They all look pretty good. There's some that are a little bright. And the ones you don't want to completely erase, what you can do, um, you can actually see here, go up here to um, you can actually come up here and lower the opacity down to 50% and kind of go over these brighter ones that are a little too bright but still look pretty good. So that's what I'm going to do now. Just going to go around and hit these brighter ones. I want a real subtle effect here, to where you really have to look to see it. Okay, that's pretty good. Here's one over here. Dim that one down. Okay. Alright. I think that looks pretty good. Um, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe one more over here. Okay. Alright. Alright guys, well that's pretty much it on the tutorial. Like I said, you can do a few more things that you want. Touch ups, take it in the Lightroom, do whatever you want. But as far as this image goes, I would say this is finished and our levels look pretty good. We might drop those back down one more time to bring them all back to 19. But yeah, guys, as far as that's concerned, this image is done. I hope you guys got something out of this tutorial. This is something I do mostly on every image, every narrowband image anyway. And just gonna fool around with this a little longer. And yeah, if you got something out of it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Maybe give me a thumbs up and a like. Yeah, so until next time, guys, clear skies.